Hello, hello. I had to start a whole new stream, so I'm hoping you guys can see me. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Can everybody see me? For some reason, I cannot go live on where I set up the live. Very confused. Hello, hello, hello. It is a very technical-y day. We gotta let everybody know to the new stream. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But we're just gonna wing it. We're just gonna wing it. We're winging it. So I don't have the poll. I don't have anything. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It did. I think it was StreamYard. StreamYard did it. StreamYard did it. Oh, so if you just reload it, it comes back up? That would be cool if it did. Hang on, I'm trying to go back to... Oh. Well, we're just gonna wing it. So, I guess no Instagram today since the... Good God. Hey, everybody. We're winging it today. Okay, good. All right. It did. Good. I'm glad you guys are here now. So, if you recall, I think, did I still have... So let's just do it this way. What were the biggest challenges of finding work off ACX? And if I can pull up the responses before whatever happened, you guys can let me know what your responses were. I'm trying to get back to, is the old... So it looks like there was like 2 of them or something. I don't know. Can I pull this one up? Well, it looks like it ended. I can't see. Okay. So, all right. So there were 33 votes. The responses were finding companies was 27%. Who to contact was 24%. What to say or pitch to authors. 33% of you responded. Oh, sorry about that, TikTok. I just totally smushed my microphone. And then getting responses was 15% of you. So for those of you on the current YouTube stream, let me know what your questions were. Again, I apologize. I'm going to put you guys back up on here for your chats. Oh. So if you reload the live stream, does it come up? Although I don't see any of your questions. I'm so sorry. So if you had a question, please post it in the chat. I'll do my best to answer because technical difficulties. It's the retrograde, right? It's the retrograde. Good golly, Miss Molly. Okay. Let's see. It looks like I'm looking at some of the responses from the old stream. Reload. Had some success. Oh, hang on. Just exit YouTube and go back in. I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened. Why YouTube decided to... I don't know. Whatever. We're moving forward. We're moving forward. Good. I'm glad you guys found me. All right. So... I think what we're going to do then is Since the majority of you were considering, or your biggest challenge for finding work off of ACX is what to say or pitch, what I have done for you is I have, let's go ahead and close Instagram because I don't need that today. So what I did was I made sort of like a template. Let's go over to that just to show you guys something that you could say. And this is something that you can use, and sorry for those of you on TikTok, you can't see it, but this is something that you can use as just a basic pitch that you can, it's editable, so you can change out, obviously, the author name and the book and some of the descriptions and some of the options that were there, like the your writing style, especially the dialogue, pacing, emotion, humor, world building, whatever it was, would translate beautifully into an audiobook. And keep in mind, this is just basically bare bones. This is just a bare bones template. You can add to it, you can delete it, you can edit it however you'd like to, and I do recommend that you do. I don't really advocate for like shotgunning, you know, template responses to people and to reach out to people, but at least this gives you some sort of an idea of what you could say to an author when you're reaching out via social media. If you find an author on social media, or if you go into, let's say, Amazon and you find a book that doesn't have an audiobook yet made, you could reach out to the author and use a template sort of like this, and then massage it a bit to fit what you need it to. I wonder if we can... I'm debating. Should we add Instagram back in? Maybe, perhaps. Because there have been some good questions that came from Instagram as well. So I hope that this helps, this template. Pardon me, I'm sorry, this whole whatever happened with YouTube just really screwed up my flow. Screwed up my flow, people. Actually, let me take this banner off so you guys can actually see what it says. Good God, I'm so sorry. All right. So this just gives you an idea of what you can say. And believe it or not, I used ChatGPT to help me write this. I put in like the basics of what I wanted it to say, what things I wanted to touch on, and this is what it gave me. And then you can ask it to refine it. You can take it and refine it, but don't underestimate the usefulness of ChatGPT. But what's going to be the most important aspect about an email sent out to any author or to anyone for business purposes is going to be your subject line. And this one has 3 different ones here at the top. And honestly, I think the one that's going to be the most intriguing would probably be quick question about your book, or have you thought about an audiobook for your book? Just kind of getting straight to the point. Right? But maybe piquing enough interest that they actually open it, right? Because that's the thing, is you go through all of this trouble in finding someone that you would love to produce an audiobook for, but you know, you take the time to reach out to them. You craft this amazing email to them, and then they don't open it. So the subject line is going to be one of the most important aspects, I think, for reaching out to an author to produce an audiobook for them. What else was it that I wanted to say? Oh, in addition to having a great email pitch for your authors, is also going to have a CRM. Now, we've talked about CRMs a few times here on my channel, and a CRM basically is customer relationship management, or a manager. And it's software that you can use to keep track of clients who you've reached out to, who's responded. Some of them will even tell you if you're email has been opened. And then you can keep track of who's responded, who hasn't. But just like anything else, it's going to be numbers, right? If you send out a couple of emails to a couple of authors, don't just sit on your laurels and wait for them to come back to you. Keep going. It's a numbers thing. Any kind of business where there's retail involved, it's a numbers game. You have to keep going and keep reaching out, and just like auditions, just like there was 3 separate live streams going on. What is happening today? Are you serious? That's interneting. It's it's one of those days, y'all. Internet's interneting. I'm so sorry. I don't know. Anyway, let's go over to the questions. How about that? Let's go over to the questions and see if the internet will like me enough to stay. I'm just going to end it over on Instagram because yeah. All right, comments. Let's see. Are there really? It's set up like a short? Really? Interesting. Interesting, I say. It looks like it's both. Weird. 2 different live streams, one vertical, one horizontal. That's so weird. Can I stop the vertical? Can we? Hello? Did it stop? Oh my gosh. StreamYard. It's got to be StreamYard. Because they've introduced like this new vertical horizontal option where you could simultaneously stream in both. But I think it's just causing more problems than anything else. All right. Cloudflare. Yeah, it could be Cloudflare issues. Yeah, apparently there's been some issues with that today. All right, let's see if we can find some questions. Joy is here. Hey, Joy. Hello, Angela and company from cloudy Southfield, Michigan. Hannah is here. Hey, Anna. Hannah. Apparently my mouth is having Cloudflare issues as well. Jenna says hi, too. Hannah says, hello, Angela and everyone. Great to find the second one to hop into. I know. I've been running around like crazy this week because I'm a volunteer at an A-list film festival that's taking place right now. That's fun. That's fun. Tanya's here. Evening all. I saved the Nutella cake and lattes. I've only tried Ahab, Fiverr, and Star now. So far, apart from ACX, it's a lot to keep up with, so adding a bit at a time. It is a lot. It is a lot to keep up with, for sure. I myself started with just 3 different profiles in the very beginning, just so I sort of got the hang of being available in so many places, and then you throw in all the social media platforms, and then you throw in even more, freelance marketplaces, pay to plays, and then you throw direct clients into the mix on top of it. And there's just so much to do in a day and so much to keep track of, which is why I bring up again CRMs. At the very least, you could create a Google spreadsheet, or like using Google Sheets, and just to keep track of who you've contacted, their name, their website, perhaps their email address, when you contacted them, what the result was. Maybe they did open it and they responded to you, not right now, but maybe in the future. You want to note that so you remember to circle back to them later. There was something I wanted to mention about CRMs before everything sort of blew up here, but if you Google CRM for small businesses, there are quite a few. There are quite a few to choose from. I personally don't use a CRM because my website has one. Wix has a CRM. But there's also Voice Overview, and I apologize if I'm all over the place, but there was so much that I wanted to say, but everything is just kind of going kablooey all at one time. Voice Overview was created by voice artists for voice artists, and that's a CRM. It's also a way to... do I still have it up here? I think I still have it up here. Hold on. Let me show you the screen. Stop that one, and let's share this one. So this is Voice Overview. Let me hide your comment really quick, Tanya. This is Voice Overview. And I've talked about this a few times before. There is all kinds of different elements and features to Voice Overview, and it has gotten a lot bigger, and they've added so much more to it over the last few years since the last time that I used it. The last time that I used, personally, Voice Overview, all it was basically a business tracker. But now it's a CRM. You can invoice from it. You can track your trends, where your money's coming from. Where was I earlier? See, I'm so messed up now. Totally threw me off my game. Yep, see, there's a little bit of a CRM there, business metrics. Any kind of help with tax is great. And it's $11.99 a month. I think it used to be like $10 a month. But it's still, I mean, it's pretty helpful if you're looking for something that will work for voice artists and has sort of everything you need all in one place. It's not a bad idea. Something to look into. What else did I want to touch on? I'm just so off my game now. See, I lost, like the poll, I lost everything. Let's see. Let's just stick with questions for now. My cup of tea says, what about for medical and science books? Do you still recommend the template if the book belongs to a big publisher? If we're talking about textbooks, I would be careful with those because those are also under copyright. If you want to reach out to a big publisher who makes textbooks, you could reach out to them, because textbooks need to be in audiobook format for the sight impaired as well. So, I mean, you could reach out to big publishers for textbooks. But something to keep in mind, one thing that I ran into a few times when I was first starting out as an audiobook narrator, I would have college students reach out to me to narrate their audiobooks or their textbooks for them so they could listen to the content while they were doing something else. And keep in mind, again, those are under copyright. That is copyright infringement. And once college students realize how much it costs to narrate a 190,000 word book, they usually go, oh God, I had no idea. It was just crazy. So maybe not. Right. But keep that in mind. Textbooks are also under copyright. That is copyright infringement. So they will definitely try on for that one. But, I mean, why not? Why not reach out to them? If you're talking about the template that I showed you guys, I would modify it a little bit, If you want to be the voice of a publisher or one of the voices of a specific publisher, why not? Reach out to them. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I know you guys are like, what in the heck is going on? I apologize. I don't know what happened either. Everything was fine until I went live, and then YouTube said, hey, it's been disconnected. And I'm looking at it. It's right there. Why? I don't know. Sage says, good afternoon, everyone, from a sunny Gainesville, Florida. Sorry, I, of course, brought some crullers and Boston cream donuts and a chai latte. All of that sounds amazing. I'm hungry. Hannah says, how is your life and everything going, Angela? I'd love to hear about everyone, but you're the only one who can actually talk. Everything's going fine for me, apart from whatever is going on with the internet and Cloudflare and Mercury retrograde. I'm not sure what's happening, but I know. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's happening. But yes, please, everyone hit the like button. It really does help. It helps a whole lot more than you know. And if you haven't subscribed, also please subscribe. I'm really close to 40,000 subscribers. Not that on YouTube, not that I'm like a number chaser, but that is so awesome. It's so humbling to me when anybody decides to follow or support or. I mean, I never in a million years would have thought that many people would find my content interesting. I mean, at the very least, entertaining. But if you're watching this afterward, please consider subscribing. I'd like to get to 40K. It's just something cool. Makes me happy. Yeah, lots of problems today. Lots of websites having problems. Yeah. It's one of those days. Joy says, wow, I don't know what YouTube's doing, but everything's jumbled. Yeah, I don't know either. There's more than one live chat going. Yeah, Cloudflaring is Cloudflaring today, right? Or Cloudflare. Cloudflare is Cloudflaring. It's the flaring. I'm hanging in there, Erica. Thank you for the support. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Professor Tracy says, good morning from Rochester, Minnesota. Letting you all know that Cloudflare is down with AWS also. Yeah, Anthony too. A lot of websites are having issues today with Cloudflare. Caesar says, oh, hi, Angela. I'm late. It's okay. You missed just a bunch of nonsense anyway, so you're good. I was trapped in my studio and had to disassemble the doorknob to remove the broken latch. Okay, you win the award for worst day. You win the award for worst day, Caesar. Got trapped. Oh my God, I'm just glad that you were able to do that. Can you imagine getting locked in your studio? That's insane. Hannah said, also, Angela, we want to see a tour of your booth. I know you've said it's super small, but we want a tour. I actually have one on my... in one of my playlists. I think it's could be freelance voiceover tips is the playlist that it's in, but there is a booth tour and it hasn't really changed much. It's pretty much the same. Yep, we're frozen. Just call me Elsa. All kinds of issues today. Caesar says, I didn't know how to answer your poll as I don't have those problems anymore. Go figure. Of course you don't. But I often get work from Ahab, narrator list, and from direct contacts from social media or through my website. Yet there's a multitude of ways to find work that don't involve ACX. You're not limited to ACX. And I know ACX is only available in some countries anyway. It's not available everywhere. So once you kind of step outside that thinking that ACX is the only place to find audiobook work, then it's like the whole world sort of opens up to you. And it really is. There are tons. And I think we could probably do a quick Google search here in a minute, and I'll show you how easy it is to find indie publishers or small publishing houses that, maybe focus on audiobook work. And then, of course, don't forget there's always Academy Voices. right? For those of you that are in a VO's Journey Academy, you have Academy Voices is our own audiobook production company available to you to audition and to, make audiobooks there as well. So don't forget that. But you also have what has been mentioned a few times, Ahab, there's narrator list, just do a Google search, right? You'll find all kinds of audiobook publishing companies of all varying sizes. And then there's also lists and rosters that you can sign up on, like narrator list. And then also create social media content, create your platforms, show off your skills, make it known to the world what you do. Because you can have the greatest website in the world and the greatest demo in the world, but if you're not showing it to anyone via social media or anything of that nature, no one knows you're there. They're not going to come knocking down your door as soon as you create, that fantastic website. You have to get on social media. You have to make contact with people. And it's highly likely that they'll reach out to you. My last 3 authors that I've done books with have found my YouTube channel. They found me. So I know that, I make content for you guys, but I mean, in fairness, I make content for all of you, for voice actors and for authors. But point is, get out there, get visible, get in front of the eyeballs. Yeah, I'm glad you found me, Andrew. I'm sorry about that. I really don't know what happened this morning. Erica said, I've had some luck with Authors Republic, but there are a lot of things to be aware of regarding that platform. Yeah, I hear that too. I would say, especially these days, wherever you decide to sign up on, to have a like a working profile on, or if they're hosting your profile, anything of that nature, any pay to plays, freelance marketplaces, narrator, audiobook, narrator lists, sort of things. If there's any kind of fine print or contract or anything that you have to sign, fill out, make sure that you fully understand how they're utilizing what you give them, what information that you give them, right? Because for the most part, in the U.S. anyway, you're going to have tax forms, you're going to have W-9s, perhaps if they collect royalties and they have to pay them out to you. That's normal. But if there's any kind of clauses that they're going to be utilizing your voice for anything, then I would be wary. Just have a firm understanding of what you're signing up for, basically. Make sure that you're reading all the content. Don't just skip through that stuff and agree to the terms of service without reading through it. Actually read through it. That's my best advice for anybody signing up on any of these places. Actually read it, because it will or could affect you. Alexander Patrick says, question, in a previous video you mentioned different formats on ACX. What exactly meant by that? Different formats on ACX. The only thing that comes to mind, I mean, if we're not talking about file formats like the ACX standards, if we're talking about maybe perhaps the formats that the books are in, I get asked a lot from, like for quotes from authors based on page count. And as we know, books come in all shapes and sizes. And there could be a lot of blank pages. There could be pages with just images on them, things like that, which is why we don't use page count for audiobook narration. We use word count, because those are the things that we're actually doing the work with, are the words, right? Not so much the blank pages or the images or anything like that. So that's why we use word count. That could be something I was talking about, but I think more simply stated, I think it could be the file format standards that you're maybe asking about. And that is ACX's standard, which is pretty much the same file formatting requirements required across audiobook distribution platforms. So pretty much everybody will accept audiobook files in the same format, which I have tons of videos here on my channel, especially in the audiobook production playlist, on what those standards are and perhaps ways that you can achieve them with your particular situation. Because as we know, there's tons of different variables from studio to studio, from person to person, equipment to equipment, right? So there are certain standards that you need to adhere to for the files, if that's what you mean. Paul says, hi, Angela et al. For what it's worth, here with my 55 audiobooks to date have come from ACX, 32, 16 repeat bookings. And where are you continued? I don't see your continuation, Paul. Maybe we'll come up on it here. Review Exchange Group says Cloudflare is ill today, as is Uber and many other such goodies. It's definitely not you. Good. Good. Anne says to Erica, thanks for your suggestion of Authors Republic. I've gotten a couple of gigs there. What concerns have you come across? Hannah says to Caesar, yay, Caesar's here. I saw, but I haven't had the second to reply yet, but I will soon. Super excited to connect. I know, it's been one of those days, guys, but, you know, we'll just blame Cloudflare because, you know, that's just awesome. Let's see. Oops, I think I accidentally sent someone an invitation to co-host. Fingers lingering to, oh God. It's one of those days, you guys, I swear. It's one of those days. I did. I totally did. Was that you, Raven? Oh, geez. I'm just going to stop touching stuff, okay? Caesar says, okay, that said, hello, everyone. I just survived a storm that was 1,100 miles wide. Not very fun after a volcanic eruption and after a massive earthquake, but I'm safe, dry, and breathing. You, Caesar, you've just been going through it. I'm glad it was you, Raven, and not someone that I don't know. How weird. Thank you, Raven. I appreciate you. You've been going through like some crazy nonsense, Caesar. But we're all glad that you're breathing, dry, and alive. Goodness gracious. Erica says to Anne, you have to carefully estimate the time at the beginning when auditioning. If you underestimate, you are SOL. Also, they only pay once a month at the end of the month. Well, so does ACX, technically. I think most distributors do. Unless, of course, we're talking about per finished hour books or pay for production books. Then, especially if the invoicing has to come directly from you and not the platform, then you have control over when that payment is made, for the most part, right? You don't have to wait for a certain time of the month to be paid. They're all going to be a little bit different. Caesar says, VO indeed, or to Tanya, indeed. Victor Frankenstein, it's good to be alive. Lisa says, earned my very first royalty share this month from ACX, whopping $13.70. That's $13.70 more than you had the day before. It adds up. Just do more. Just do more. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the hearts and likes and things on TikTok. I appreciate you guys. Anne says to Erica, yes, true. I had to calculate my true words per hour tempo to bid better. I read slower than the 9300 standard. I would just use the standard. Just to make it easy math. And that way it's a little bit more consistent with what everyone else charges. Right? Because if you read slower, then your audiobooks are going to be longer and therefore cost more and on some platforms. So you might be questioned as to why you're charging more when it's the same word count from person to person. So in the sake of consistency, I would stick with just the 9300 is what my brain tells me. Caesar says to Anne, I know, right? The thing that weakened the super typhoon was a mountain range that shattered the eye wall. Tanya says, it's pronounced Frankenstein. Get it right, Caesar. Review Exchange Group says, I can't imagine narrating a textbook, particularly a large one. Just to add, insert comment to my 2 cents here. I've been asked to narrate the Bible before. You want to talk about a large book? I didn't, because I just didn't. I didn't have the time for that. But anything over about 4 hours seems interminable to me. I just can't wait to get through it. Make sure the textbook is really interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Rustic Hillbilly, for finding us. I apologize for all of the hullabaloo earlier, but I'm glad you guys are all here. Craig says, hey, Craig, tried getting in earlier. Issues heard on the news that our friends in the CCP have been hacking quite a number of sites. There's a lot of shenaniganism going on. I'll tell you what. A lot of shenanigans. But we're all here, right? We're here. We're here now. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you're safe, Caesar. Maureen says, hello from New Hampshire. Sunny but cold here. Hope everyone is well. Interesting. I think it's showing me on StreamYard if you are looking at this in vertical format, which is interesting. Are there still 2 options on YouTube for vertical and horizontal? Because I thought, oh, maybe I just hit it. Maybe it's still there. Am I still showing as both? Weird. I'm going to turn that off. That's just weird. Maureen says, hello from New Hampshire. Sunny but cold here. Hope everyone is well. So far, so good. Have fun in dance class, Hannah. Joy, if I can get it to click. Joy says, sounds like planet Earth is going through another magnetic storm. That's why the internet's going crazy. I know. Who knows? I'm sure it's a number of things, right? Sure, it's a number of things just going kablooey all at the same time. Andrew says, is Ahab a talent? It's a audiobook distribution platform. I want to say for Penguin Books. But with the way my brain's working today, I don't know. That could be right. That could be wrong. I want to say it is Penguin Books. Caesar says to Erica, I'm lucky I had all the tools I needed in my studio to disassemble the doorknob. Otherwise, 911. Also, I'm lucky I had a replacement doorknob in hand. Like, who would have thunk it? You were so prepared. See, now I think that might be something as voice artists, audiobook narrators, I think we need to probably have in our studios if there's a door that closes in behind us. If we can close ourselves into a room, make sure you have tools to get out if something were to happen. I think that is now going to be a staple for everyone listening, watching. Make sure you have like a Leatherman or something in your studio just in case something happens so you can get out. Your phone at the very least. That's insane. It's insane. Review Exchange Group says, other than ACX Audible, I'm unaware of other platforms that will pay a narrator doing a royalty share. Are you aware of any? I want to say the other ones do too. However, I'm not 100%. I haven't been on there in a while. Most of my audiobook work right now comes from direct clients and Fiverr, actually, and sometimes Upwork. But that's mainly where all my audiobook work comes from. So I'm not entirely sure, nor have I done royalty share in years. So I'm sure all of my contracts are probably coming up to expire pretty soon. All of my royalty share contracts. Voices, Academy Voices. Academy Voices, actually, yes, they also do royalty share. Erica Calvert says, I also booked a Fright Night audio royalty share, but it was a popular author, so fingers crossed. Horror is not for everyone. It's not. It's not, but I love it. Erica says, I was talking about Per Finished Hour on AR. Joy says to Caesar, if you can go through all that, you'll never hear me complain about our little snowstorms. Yep. I'm glad Caesar was prepared. Review Exchange Group says, Anne Fritz, reading slower should be seen as a benefit. You are giving your author a bigger audiobook, and it may kick your book into a higher price, which most authors will like. Yes, for their price point, yeah. I know, narrating the Bible, that's pretty much what I told the person, and I honestly didn't have the bandwidth to narrate the Bible at that point. Andrew says, what is a reasonable per finished hour rate to quote for audiobook narration? I'll tell you, industry standard is $250 per finished hour, and a finished hour is 9,300 words. But that also includes the narration, editing, and mastering and formatting of those 9,300 words. So in essence, one finished hour could be 8 hours of work. So that is why it is $250 per finished hour. That is industry standard, but you don't have to start there. I started at, I think my very first per finished hour book was at $50 per finished hour because I looked at it as paid internship. I was still learning. That was my first book. So I wasn't going to charge an author industry standard rates for me not feeling like I was at industry standard level yet, because I was still learning. I was still refining my audio quality. I was still refining my performance techniques, my stamina for, narrating for hours on end. So that is what I did. And then after like maybe 2 books, I raised it to 100. So technically you could have your per finished hour rate whatever you want it to be, but just knowing that 250 per finished hour is industry standard, and then go from there. Erica said, Anne and I were referring to the words per hour estimate for Authors Republic. Oh, I see. I apologize. I'll just stay out of the conversation. Since you are locked into what you submit an audition, I've booked 7 jobs using 900 or 9,000 and nobody has questioned it. Okay. So it's still showing both. That is so weird. All right. So note to self, there's a few things that I'm going to have to check on for the next live stream before I go live. Thank you for all the likes, you guys, on TikTok. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. I'm trying to get some traction on TikTok. It's not that easy. Juan says, sound is now on point. I feel my performance is solid, but have not been able to book a single gig except one 15-minute book 2 years ago. Frustrated but hopeful. See, there's a lot of questions that I have for you, Juan. If you're not booking anything for 2 years, and you're saying that you feel that your sound and your performance is on point, but you're not booking anything, then I have to ask, how often are you auditioning? How often are you putting yourself out there, right? If you're on TikTok, you can ask questions too. It's just TikTok and YouTube today, because apparently the cloud flaring. Salem Arbuckle says, just made the leap to trying to narrate audiobooks full time. Congratulations. That's a big step. Congratulations. Hoping I can find more options for getting work to give myself the best chance possible. Yeah, and pretty much, I don't know how much of what I said earlier you caught, but once you step outside of, ACX is the only audiobook distributor out there because that's the one that gets the most marketing. It's got everybody talking about it, so you probably hear ACX most often, but it is not the only place. There are literally, Google it. Google audiobook production or audiobook production companies or audiobook publishing. Google something of that nature and you will see there are dozens of them. I'm getting fancy with my words now. Dozens of them that will even have like a section in the website that you can reach out, fill out a form, upload a demo, things like that to potentially get a place on their roster. So it's literally that easy. Not only that, but I think the easiest thing, again, is social media, is just getting out there and being seen on social media. All right. Margaret says, where might be the best places to audition for e-learning work? Again, go to Google and type in words like video production companies or education videos or something like that. And then take a look at the companies that come up for that. And I have found there's usually a page where you can contact them as freelance talent. And you can then, again, upload your demo and introduce yourself. And that is how I have done it in the past. And I actually have a few companies that send me auditions from time to time for e-learning work. And I reached out to them directly, doing what I just explained, right? There really isn't an easy button for it. Like, we just get so spoiled by ACX and Fiverr and Upwork, where people come to us or we place a bid on a job that lands in our inbox, it comes to us, right? So if you think just the other way around, you're not limited to those platforms. You're not limited to that way of doing business. You can go out and be proactive and reach out to companies, reach out to authors. You can do it yourself. As a business owner, or at least having a business mindset, right? Again, get yourself out of the employee mindset and get yourself into the CEO mindset. Take control of this hobby, this business, right? Take control of it and go out and get it. Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad to catch you live. Hopefully your day is going well. Thanks for all the helpful tips and info. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, so far it's been going well, apart from whatever the hell's going on with YouTube and the internet. Mr. and Mrs. Phillips says, to get into book narrations, would it be good to have a YouTube channel of reading books? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's Gutenberg.org is the website that you can go to where all of the books there are books in the public domain. So they're out of copyright. So you could do that. Right? And I would also take snippets of that and then post that on TikTok, Instagram, anywhere else, or on YouTube even as a short. So people, there's just more opportunities for people to find you, to come across your content and to hear you and your narration style, right? And the way that you produce these audiobooks or the way that you sound. Sorry, I just got distracted by another comment on YouTube. I locked myself in the closet booth once. I locked myself in the garage of my house once. I had to break down the door. And I did. No Ordinary Gal on TikTok says, forgive me if answered, have you worked with a voice coach? I have. I worked with Anthony Pica for about a year, and now I coach with him at Avio's Journey Academy. Now I myself am a coach. Actually, I've been a coach in my own right for probably 6 years now. But now we've joined forces, Anthony Pica and myself. But yes, I did. I worked with him for about a year because I'm hard-headed. I'm an Aries, so I was like, okay, I can do this by myself. But then I got to about a year in, maybe, I got to a certain point where I started to sort of plateau. And so I reached out to Anthony because at the time he was like killing it on Fiverr. So I reached out to him and I said, please show me the secret sauce. You know, bestow your wisdom upon me. And then I hired him for about a year. And then we worked together every month. And I am where I am now, I suppose. Mr. and Mrs. Phillips says, what was the website again? Gutenberg.org. Gutenberg.org. That is a website for books in the public domain. No Ordinary Gal says, what's the best advice you'd give a client working with a coach? What's the best advice you'd give a client working with a coach? I'm not sure what you mean, give a working with a coach. I'm not sure who you mean by that. Let's see if you can maybe rephrase it. Give a client, like a client you're working with, or like one of my clients as a mentee. Review Exchange Group on YouTube says, I'm so claustrophobic, can't imagine being locked in. I know, that is so crazy. That random Yoruba guy says, or a door blasting ballista. Alexander on YouTube says, in what ways did you market your books when you were involved with royalty share? To tell you the truth, because that was so long ago, I didn't even realize that I needed to. I realized that in my head, I'm always looking for ways to expand my offerings and my, let's just say, like what I could give a client, like my value as a freelancer. So I knew that there were ways to create like little snippets, like little book trailers for social media, which is how I come across and tell you guys to use headliner.app to create little book snippets using the book cover art and a little bit of the retail sample that you produce for the audiobook production, and then push that onto social media to promote the book. I knew about that kind of thing, but I myself didn't. Maybe back then it was imposter syndrome, and I can easily say that now, and I still have a touch of it. I think we all do. I think imposter syndrome doesn't really go away, but it's in recognizing that that's what it is. So as soon as you recognize it's imposter syndrome, I'm keeping myself back for whatever reason. And then that way you can sort of walk around it or find a way to work around it at that point. But I think for me, that's what it was. And in retrospect, I should have been. There's so many easy ways to create easy content online. So if you're doing royalty share books, you should be promoting them along with the author. It just behooves you both. I like that word. It just behooves you. James says, 2 hours of work for one finished hour if you're really dialed in and have a super fast workflow, but that's seriously tough work. Yeah, and that's about where I'm at right now. I think my ratio is about 2 to 1, like 2 hours of work for one finished hour. But at the beginning, it was not, because there's still so much that you have to learn. You don't have all of your effects racks dialed in. You don't have all of your, maybe hotkeys. And you're second guessing yourself a lot, maybe over editing, maybe doing several takes for each paragraph, or, re-recording a lot. So there's a lot in the beginning that you're learning. So realistically, in the beginning, you're at like a 5 to 8 hours of work for every finished hour, and that's normal. At that point, you're sort of just figuring out what your processes are, what your workflows are, and how to streamline them from there. But it's important to do that, so it makes more sense to you monetarily. You're welcome, Andrew. That random Yoruba guy says, apart from Fiverr, all others are not even available in my country. The site hates to see us coming. Well, in your case, then social media and, reaching out to direct clients is probably going to be your best bet. Joy says, now that you've mentioned it, I do have my own toolbox in my room for such emergencies. I just hide them from my husband because if he finds out, they'll disappear. I hear that. Get your own tools. Craig says, when preparing demos for audiobooks, what is recommended regarding source material, how many samples to include, and the length of each? If you don't have any audiobooks that you yourself have produced and you need something for samples, I just used books in the public domain. So I went to, again, Gutenberg, Gutenberg, I believe, .org, and just chose a book in the public domain, and I made a sample out of that. Now, if you're on ACX and you're looking to post samples there, ACX themselves say just to grab a book off your shelf. But I'm always one of those people that err on the side of caution, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes. inadvertently. So I just used books in the public domain to make samples with. And I think a sample doesn't need to be any longer than 2 to 3 minutes max. I think that's enough. And then make each one specific to a particular genre or a particular tone, because nonfiction and fiction are going to have 2 different sounds to them. You could even go even further with male versus female dialogue. You could even go as far as, extreme genre differences like horror, romance, drama, children's books, right? Those are all going to have different tones. And as far as how many, as many genres as you're interested in putting yourself out there for, however many that you want to do. If you just want to stick with nonfiction, just do nonfiction. If you want to do, thank you, Rin. I think I said Ryan earlier because that my coffee cup was in the raid. Thank you, Ren, for posting that. It is Gutenberg.org. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. My co-host, everyone. My co-host, Ren. Okay, I see. No Ordinary Gal says, if the client or mentee, thank you, what advice would you give a newbie navigating narration? Everybody's different. And I say that not as a cop out or anything, but I've worked with probably hundreds of mentees at this point, and everybody is coming from a different place and a different mindset. And most of the time, their biggest obstacle is themselves, that they allow themselves to overthink whatever problem situation that they're having, and it's not really even a problem, right? So it's an individual thing. So I would have to work with that person to kind of ferret out what the real problem is and then help them move past it. If you're having a problem with getting into narrating, or it depends on, I guess, what the issue is exactly. But generally speaking, I tell people to seek content. Watch YouTube videos, join live streams, join communities, ask questions, get involved, and start to do more than you just sit back and intake the content, because you will learn so much more faster by doing than you will just by absorbing content and not doing anything with the information that you're taking in, right? You have to get active to make habits, to start, making routines, and, right? The doing is much more important than the consuming of content. And it's very easy to get stuck in the procrastinating stage by just sitting back and consuming the content and not doing anything with it. Because then you'll start to tell yourself, well, I don't have this microphone, or I don't have my studio picked out, or whatever it is, so I can't move forward, right? You'll make yourself, or you will allow yourself to stay stuck in a spot because you're telling yourself that you don't have X, Y, or Z, so you can't move forward. Just use what you have and start building those habits, start learning in the doing. And then, it's like, what's that saying? Like building an airplane before you land it, or something like, what is that saying? You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've heard that before. Something like that. James on YouTube says, it has a Noise Remover Pro plugin that, it has a Noise Remover Pro plugin that has AI noise reduction on par with RX11. What are we talking about? I must have missed what you guys are talking about. I thought a share for more budget users. What has a, I must have missed what you were talking about, James. I apologize. I blame Cloudflare. Cloudflare is to blame. All right, let's put the coffee down. Salem on YouTube says, I've sent samples and info to quite a few audiobook production companies, but most of the responses I've gotten so far are that they aren't looking for more narrators right now, but I'll search for more. And that's going to be a thing. But I'll share with you something, Salem, that I have discovered myself over the last few years is that not everybody sticks with this. Where's my chapstick? Not everybody sticks with audiobook narration because it is a lot of work, and a lot of people don't realize that when they're first getting into it. Hang on, I got to do the puzzle thing on TikTok. So not everybody sticks with it. So even when you're looking at, let's just say ACX to make it easy, and you're saying there are 50 million narrators, not everybody is actively producing audiobooks. Maybe they tried it because they saw that old social media, clickbait that said, hey, do you want to make $1,000 per hour on your PJs? Right? We all know, for the most part, everyone here in these live streams understand that it's not that easy, that it is work, and not everybody sticks with it. So some people drop out. So I would say keep note of who is telling you that they don't have room on their roster right now, and check back in with them periodically to see if they have room. Don't let that be building the plane while flying it. Yeah, that works. Thank you, Rin. But don't let that be like, oh, shoot, now I got to look for somebody else, right? Just keep circling back. Keep circling back. Joy says to Angela, you broke down your door. I did. My garage door. I trapped myself. This was like when I had first given birth to my son, and I was home with him on leave. And it's one of those doors that has the door lock on the door handle, and I forgot to unlock it. And I went into the garage for something, paper towels or I don't know. And it closed behind me and then locked me out. And my son, the newborn, was in the house, so I had to get in. So I had to break down the door. I was home alone. I had to break down, and my phone, of course, was inside too. So I had to break down the door. Review Exchange Group says, the ugly truth on royalty share. If your author has no marketing plan and you don't like to market, you will sell almost no books. Being on Audible or Amazon is not enough unless you're famous, but I'm not. Yes, you have to take some accountability as a business owner. If you're doing royalty share books, you're going to be expected, and you should be promoting that book just as much as the author is. Even if you're doing per finished hour, why not promote the book? Promote the book, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Samson on TikTok says, Cloudflare won't let me vote for the Video Game Awards. We truly live in a hellscape. Agreed. I blame Cloudflare. That is my saying for the day. Erica says, such wise advice as always, Angela. Thank you. Thank you for all you do for the VO community. I try, but Cloudflare is keeping me down. Joy says, is it possible for women to narrate books that have a male dialogue and vice versa? Of course. Joy, I think I've said this a few times. I don't know. I might have. I have been chosen for autobiographies of men, written by men. And I reached out to these individuals and I said, you do know that I'm like a middle-aged white lady from, are you sure you want me to narrate your autobiography? And they're like, yeah, we liked your voice, but that's why we chose you. So don't ever underestimate or discount yourself in anything, because you never know. What the client wants is what the client wants. Don't doubt that, right? Of course you can narrate male dialogue or vice versa. Of course you can. Caesar says, the funny thing is, the reason why I stuck with audiobook narration is because it is difficult. In many aspects, not just performative, but also technical. It's so much fun facing challenges. It is. And if you can teach your brain to enjoy the challenges, you'll take so many more, and then you'll be rewarded for all of the things that you learn and gain in those challenges. So that is a great mindset, Caesar. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Sue me. Caesar says, for any gamers out there, please vote for Expedition 33. Truly solid voice acting and stellar cast of voice actors. Erica says, I agree. Plus, where else can an actor play multiple characters, different ages, sexes, accents, etc.? I love that. Let's see. Let's go over to the Tiki Talkies. Anybody else have any questions before we go for the day? Again, I apologize for all of the... We'll just blame Cloudflare. I don't know what happened to the stream this morning. I set it up just like I always do, and then it said it was disconnected. I don't know what happened, so I had to start a whole new stream. So I apologize for that. But thank you, everyone, for bearing with me. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting a day. Thanks again. Have a great day. You too. Thank you so much for everybody on TikTok. I almost at 1,000 likes. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Let's see if we can get to 1,000. Just it's free. Just tap the screen, do the heart thing. I appreciate it. Let's just see if we can close this one out with 1,000 likes on TikTok. I appreciate it. For those of you on YouTube, thank you so much for bearing with me today. And if you haven't liked the live, and if you're watching this in the replay, and maybe you want to subscribe, I would really appreciate that too. Again, for YouTube, I'm almost at 40,000 subscribers. And it's so humbling and so touching that people watch my content. You know, in the beginning, I never thought that this would be anything other than me just kind of talking to a camera, you know, and I'm touched that many people watch my content. So please, please consider subscribing. I'm getting all emotional. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Looks like we had one more comment here. Sage says on YouTube, I'm still working on my editing skills by volunteering with LibriVox. Once I feel like I have a good grasp on it, then I'll start to set up accounts on Upwork, Fiverr, ACX, and others. And that's fair. And that's pretty much what I did, Sage. I just sort of practiced where I could in places that required the same kind of standard that I am expected to uphold. Right? So it's pretty much exactly what I did, Sage. So if that's working, then stick with it. But don't allow yourself to stay in that place forever. Make sure that you're also moving forward into paid platforms as well. Okay? Okay. All right, you guys. I'm going. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you guys. All of you. Oh my gosh. 1,200 likes on TikTok. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I know. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But I'm going to go. I will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. It goes for you on YouTube and you on TikTok. Tuesday, 12 p.m. EST. Hopefully, no cloud flaring. Hopefully, everything will go fine. But I'll see you guys all then. Bye.